Not one taken by any satellite or telescope, but by accident captured in the corner of a deep field image from the Orpheus Array, a new space-based observatory orbiting at the L2 point. The photo was meant to map faint quasars beyond the Perseus arm, but buried in the data was something that didn't belong: a reflection. At first it looked like lens flare, a small crescent of light against the black, but the shape was too precise, too defined. Its curvature didn't match any known celestial body. When technicians enhanced the image, they realized it was a sphere, perfectly round, faintly translucent, hanging motionless in deep space. It had no orbit, no tail, no apparent source of illumination. It simply hovered there, reflecting stars behind it as if it were made of glass. They called it the glass moon. At first, no one believed it was real. But when the array refocused weeks later, the object was still there, exactly in the same place. No parallax, no drift. It was as if the laws of motion simply ignored it. The coordinates placed it just outside the edge of the Orion Spur, roughly 12 light-years beyond the farthest known star system. Within months, every major observatory on Earth and in orbit was pointed at it. The data was consistent: a transparent sphere, roughly 2,000 kilometers in diameter, cold as interstellar ice, perfectly smooth. It emitted no heat, no radiation, yet somehow it reflected light. When lasers were fired toward its location, the beams scattered in fractal patterns, returning interference waves that didn't obey any known optical model. It wasn't glass. It wasn't anything we understood. By the end of the year, the object had begun to change. Spectrographs showed faint ripples of light moving across its surface, like reflections on water. Then, for the first time, it moved, slowly rotating on an invisible axis. Within days, the surface began to refract starlight into patterns, spirals, lattices, almost like symbols. It was transmitting something, though no one could decode it. Nations argued over what to do. Was it an artifact? A probe? A natural anomaly? The media called it the mirror of the gods. Religions declared it a sign. Scientists avoided words like artificial, but in private they all agreed: nothing this perfect was born of chaos. In 2031, humanity decided to go. The Ariadne mission was assembled in silence, a multinational effort hidden behind the cover of asteroid research. The ship carried 6 crew members and a swarm of autonomous drones, designed for deep space transmission. The journey would take 8 years at near relativistic speed. By the time Ariadne arrived, the world that launched it would already be different. Halfway through the voyage, the crew began receiving faint signals, reflections bouncing back from the glass moon itself. The echoes formed faint patterns in the communication static. At first they ignored it, assuming interference. But one night, when they transmitted a calibration pulse, the echo returned with an alteration. The same pulse, but inverted like a mirror. The glass moon was listening. When Ariadne finally arrived, it found the object exactly as described: a sphere of translucent perfection, suspended in blackness, light bending around it like through crystal water. The crew launched drones to scan the surface, but the machines simply vanished upon contact, leaving behind a burst of static like a scream swallowed by distance. The ship's captain, Commander Halvorsen, decided to approach manually. The final transmission received on Earth was brief, just telemetry and a single phrase recorded by the onboard AI. Entering reflection layer. Surface is not solid, it's... The message cut off mid-word. For 11 years, Ariadne drifted in silence. Then, without warning, the ship reappeared on long-range sensors near its departure coordinates, 12 light-years away, back where it had started. It was completely intact, systems functioning, but there was no sign of the crew. Every console was covered in a fine layer of frost, every corridor silent, every terminal looping the same image. The glass moon reflected on itself, endlessly recursive, as if it had been photographed from within. The AI logs revealed something far stranger. Time inside the vessel had stopped, To the ship's instruments, the entire mission had lasted 21 seconds. External clocks showed 21 years. And buried in the raw data deep in the telemetry records was an anomaly, a second sphere. This one wasn't 12 light-years away. It was here, orbiting just beyond Neptune, invisible to the naked eye, cloaked in the same spectral signature as the original. The data was clear. The glass moon had followed them home. Governments tried to suppress the finding, but the discovery couldn't be contained. Amateur astronomers detected faint distortions in Neptune's orbit. Radio telescopes began picking up harmonic echoes, low-frequency tones, resonating across the magnetosphere every 48 hours. Some thought they were seismic in origin. Others said they were messages. When the pattern was decoded, it formed a sequence of prime numbers followed by a repeating phrase, "Reflections complete." Then, slowly, the stars began to dim. Across the sky, telescopes detected a strange phenomenon. Points of light fading one by one, not because they burned out, but because something was passing in front of them, vast, translucent shadows spreading across interstellar space, like invisible mirrors unfurling. Within a month, the night sky looked different. Constellations shimmered with ghostly duplicates, faint transparent copies hovering a fraction of a degree off their original positions. It was as if reality itself had been duplicated, every star now paired with its reflection. Scientists struggled to explain it. Some believed the glass moons were gateways, cosmic recording devices, reflecting every star, every planet, every thought that had ever been. Others claimed they were seeds, reproducing themselves through the geometry of light. The strangest discovery came when one observatory noticed that the reflections weren't perfect. A few mirrored stars shone slightly brighter than their originals. One even pulsed once, then twice, mimicking the rhythm of a human heartbeat. That was when the realization spread like fire. The reflections weren't copies of the stars, they were copies of us. In the months that followed, more spheres appeared, small ones, drifting near the outer planets, invisible except in infrared. Satellites began to fail, not through collision, but because their signals were being duplicated, transmissions echoing back milliseconds after they were sent, as if space itself had learned to mimic our voices. And then, one night, the glass moon over Neptune went dark. For 30 seconds, every radio frequency on Earth filled with static, every compass spun, every light flickered. When the systems recovered, the sky above had changed again. A faint second moon now hung above our own. A perfect, pale twin, clear as crystal, glowing with borrowed starlight. No one could explain how it got there. Now it rises and sets opposite the real one, reflecting our oceans, our clouds, our cities at night. Some say, if you look long enough, you can see your own reflection staring back just slightly out of sync. Astronomers don't call it the glass moon anymore. They call it the mirror world.